now. Right. So, okay, so your product is a presentation board. Okay, you need to come up with, in strand 1, some testing methods to measure how successful that product has been in meeting your success criteria. So your success criteria, you know, originally your success criteria would have been relating to a wearable item. So some of that success criteria, you can keep that. But I think because the product that you've made is now different, it's not just a wearable item, it's actually a presentation board about that wearable item. I think that your success criteria needs to be tweaked a little bit to match the new product that you've made. Does that make sense?
So
Yes.
what's in the form? Do we take a picture of our board?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Take
Or
a
the design that we made in Criterion B, the final design.
Well, you're not testing anything that you've done in Criteria B. You're measuring what you've done in Criterion C. So that's going to be your presentation board.
Okay.
Okay. So your presentation board should have everything that was in Criteria B, but more. So what is it that you are trying to communicate in your presentation board? You should have been communicating the theme of your product. So you want to kind of try and get feedback from people. How well does your presentation board communicate that theme? You should have been communicating, well, the product that you were going to make, and also the aesthetics of that product, and also, hopefully, something to do with the manufacturing of that product. Okay? The function of that product. I think those are the main things that you want to be testing. How successful are they? How successful is your product in communicating those things? Also, the presentation board will have things like lettering on it, typography. So does the typography communicate extra things about your product? Do the typefaces that you've used or the fonts support the theme that you have come up with? And let's talk about how you're going to test it. So it says here that you want to show your design to 10 of your peers. Well, I am very wary of this slowing down. So in my experience, five people is enough. I don't want you to get slowed down waiting for that 8th, 9th, 10th person. So get feedback from 5 people, send out a survey with some questions that elicit feedback, good feedback about how well your product has met the success criteria. So you definitely want to share a photo with the people that you're interviewing. You also, when they have given you feedback, you need to try and get from them, elicit from them improvements that they recommend you could make. Because remember, strand 3, you need to be listing improvements, right? You need to be explaining how you could have made this product better. So when you make your questionnaire, make sure you have space for improvement. So let's look at the testing methods here. Expert appraisal. Okay, I can hear some banging there. I don't know if that's somebody banging in the background, but anyway, expert appraisal. That's like, let's say you know somebody, or you have access to somebody who has, you know, expertise in fashion. Then you could ask their opinion. Okay, most of us do not have people like that we know. So let's go down to the next one. Performance testing. Well, this is really for interactive products, which yours is not. So if you made a web page or you made an app, then you could do performance testing. But that is not something that you're really doing in your presentation board. So let's go down to the next one. User observation. this is the one that you're going to be doing. You're going to be sharing your product with people, and you're going to be asking them questions or giving them tasks that will give you feedback. So an example that you could come up with of a question is, you could ask people, okay, you have 30 seconds, okay? Time yourself and see if you can note down the materials that I was going to use in my product. So if they can do that task in 30 seconds, then that tells you that you presented your information clearly and that you have, you know, communicated some things about the product, even though you didn't make it physically. You've talked about the materials you're going to make. You've talked about maybe the manufacturing processes, like sewing, stitching, gluing, and so on. So if you have, that was one of your goals, to communicate those things, you could set a little task for people to do, and then they can tell you how to put them to find that information. Okay, so that communicates something about, you know, how well you presented it and clearly communicate things. Another thing is that you could ask about is, you know, you could get their opinion. To what extent does my product successfully represent my theme? So let's say you had an ocean theme. Well, if you have an ocean theme, then would it be expecting you to be using colors that represent that theme, right? So you can get feedback on that from the people that you are interviewing. Okay? If you wanted, like some students have, if you wanted to communicate your product having a 3D quality, maybe you use some materials, cardboard, pastel, other things, to build a 3D illustration. So you could, again, ask, you know, to what extent do you feel that my presentation board sort of communicates the three-dimensionality of my product, okay? So think about all the things that you're trying to achieve in your presentation board, and think about ways of eliciting, asking from your peers how well you have met that success criteria. Okay? Now, I recommend when you do that, that you don't just say, have I achieved this, yes or no? Maybe you give them a scale that they need to circle a number or set a number. So maybe 1 to 5. 5 means that yes, 100% you have met all the criteria. 1 means no, you really did not meet the criteria. So people can choose a number which best reflects their opinion, and then they need to elaborate, they need to explain why you didn't meet it and what you could do to improve. I think that's really valuable. So that is pretty much Gran 1. Oh, I just want to add as well, some of the tests you can do, you don't need to ask other people. You can do it yourself. So let's say you said, okay, I'm going to have an ocean theme and I'm going to use ocean colors. So you could just annotate, to prove that you've done that, you could just annotate your picture and draw lines pointing to the blues maybe that you used and the greens that are in your presentation board. That will be a way of proving that you've done what you said you were going to do without asking anybody else, okay? If there are things that nobody can disagree with that are very concrete, then you can just test it yourself. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, okay, this is a beautiful way of presenting the level of success, the results. Okay, just list what your success criteria was. Describe in words how you tested it. If there's some visual evidence that you can give to show how you tested it and the methods you used, do share that. Summarize the results, and then give an indication of how successful you were in passing. So in this time, it may not be tick or a cross, it may be like a percentage, sort of, you know, that you've that you've largely passed it or that you have only partially passed. And, you know, I think a lot of the time, your past success will be, you know, not complete. So there's still room for improvement. And that brings us on to strand 3, where you know, you can quote what people have said about improvements you need to make. You can add your own opinion. You must add your own opinion. And then, you know, you can write a paragraph about your improvements, or you can do bullet points. I think that bullet points personally are a bit limited. I think that a paragraph and maybe a table is a good way of doing that. And you could even add in illustrations to show how it would look if you had done it again. You could do a little thumbnail to get the improvement if you wanted to. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Okay, so I'm going to stop my recording.